Let's talk about red flags in ministries. How do you know when a ministry is being led by a toxic leader who isn't truly submitted to the word? One thing I look for is, are they able to disagree with other people and discuss the scriptures in an open, non-toxic, cordial manner without making it personal? So a lot of times you see this a lot on the TikTok app. A lot of times people will take it from, we're discussing a topic in scripture, and then they'll switch it, they'll turn it on its head and make it about discussing the attributes of the other person, either discussing that person's gender, that happens all the time, or discussing their physical attributes, or, their personal relationships, something about that person, and making it kind of a personal attack. It's called ad hominem when they do that. So they make it more of a personal attack than attacking the substance of what the scriptures say in a balanced way. A total green flag is when someone can have a nice, pleasant conversation about a topic that they disagree on with another person, and they don't get all feisty, they don't get worked up. That shows that that person doesn't have triggers in the area of that topic. Any area where you cannot have a peaceful conversation, there's likely some healing that needs to be done. So if you're finding yourself that you're unable to have a peaceful conversation when you disagree with somebody about a particular topic, there's might be an idol or some healing that needs to be done in that area. The next red flag I always look for is, are they using the scriptures and what they're talking about all the time? I got this red flag from watching the Hillsong documentary. Do you guys remember that? I started watching it the other day, and the one thing I noticed throughout the documentary is whenever they had clips of the sermons, there was no scripture going on. It was basically just dramatic speeches and analogies and metaphors and all this stuff that they were saying, but none of it was looking at what the scriptures actually say. So when I look at ministries that I want to follow, people that I want to learn from, I look for people who are going through the scriptures line by line and looking through a lot of scripture. And they're trying to put the scripture back into context, back into the most correct understanding that we could possibly get to, rather than trying to twist it for an agenda. You can tell if somebody's twisting scripture for an agenda. Now, one way to really spot twisting a scripture for agenda is when somebody just ejects a single verse out of all the context, out of the context of the scripture, out of the context of the chapter or the letter that it's in, out of the context of the time that it's in, and they just eject that completely, and then they throw it at other people as a weapon. That is a sign of them mishandling the scripture. The last thing that I would watch for, and this is very cult-like behavior when somebody is doing this, if someone is ever saying, like, if you disagree with me, you're not saved. If you disagree with my doctrine, you're not saved. If you leave my ministry or you leave my church, you're not saved. Any of that kind of talk where if you're not in our little tight group, then you're wrong and something's wrong with you and you're not saved. That kind of stuff shows up during cult-like behavior. So if you see any of that kind of thing where the leader and the leader's above reproach, where you can't say to the leader, hey, this isn't correct, or hey, I don't agree with you on this. And if you do say something like that, then it's like you're out of the group. You're not saved. You have to exit the group. That kind of stuff is very, very dangerous because you create these leaders that are above everyone else and they're above reproach, right? Leaders should always have other people that they go to. If there's a male leader, he should have like 5-6 men that he has that are his trusted confidants that he goes to and he discusses issues with. For women, it's the same thing. Make sure you have like 5 or 6 men and a couple women, a few women, and even men should have a few women that they check in with, because women can see angles of things that men sometimes can't see, and men can see angles of things that obviously women can't see. So there's all sorts of different variables to the situation, and you want to have all your bases. Now, when we talk about submitting to each other, we talk about, in love, seeking each other to try to find the truth of the word, to try to find the truth of the situation, so that we're always edifying and growing with each other. We're not trying to destroy each other. We're not trying to tear each other down. We're trying to build up the kingdom and build up the church into a healthy body of Yeshua. So make sure you always have different people that you go to, that you check in with, that are healthy. Toxic behavior in normal life is the same as toxic behavior in the church. It's the same kind of mannerisms. It's the same kind of fighting. It's the same kind of gossip. All that stuff that's toxic in the real world is also toxic in church. Just because somebody's saying that they're a believer and they're a pastor and they're a Christian doesn't mean that they're exempt from behaving in a toxic, unhealthy, unedifying way. It happens all the time, probably more in the church than other places, I find. So I love you guys. Be safe out there. There's a lot of nonsense.